You got to get up in the morning.
Tony Caravan.
You've been subjected to a highly sophisticated form of propaganda.
It's just what you need, not what you don't.
And away we go.
Quality, quantity, and variety.
ROCKFLUX.
Let's get this show on the road.
All right. 3:50 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time in the former United States of America. I've got my Hawaiian shirt on. My last dream was like a dream of Hawaii. I was like in Hawaii. Cousin of mine was getting married. I wasn't invited to the wedding. Hey, man, why didn't you invite me to the wedding? Yeah. What's the problem? Yeah, I don't know. Man, am I tired. I woke up at 1:30 or something like that. 1:32 something. Didn't sleep all that well. But in the grand scheme of things, I kind of got like, I was going to say the legal limit of sleep or whatever. But yeah, I probably got mostly sleep. If you look closely under the glasses, it's got a little bit of baggy-eyed there. Coffee's either going to help or give me a heart attack. You know, the jury's out on a lot of this stuff, you know? You ever hear that? You know, it's like how the internet is so full of it. You know, you go to one site and read something that says coffee's good for the heart, right? You know, you go somewhere else and it's like, you know, don't drink coffee. I was having like a atrial fib or an AFib or what the other one they called it? Flutter, atrial flutter. Then somebody just said, hey, I think you're just having like a panic attack or something. You know, you can't even get the doctors to agree. Gee, what the heck is going on now? You can't even get the doctors to agree.
You're listening to Tony Caravan Live.
It's amazing that this guy could wake up this early in the morning and be full of fun.
Really funny. Really funny.
Yeah, he's really funny.
Good morning.
Good morning, folks. Get up. Come on. It's almost 4 a.m., 3:52 a.m. on the radio station. It's a Tuesday afternoon in 28th of September. We're getting close to the end of September in the year 2021. In the former U.S. of A. I had never used that one. But I think it's like a cross between something weird, Howard Cosell, and the guy saying, you know, the life is like a box of chocolates or something, man. That movie with the box of chocolates, you know what I'm talking about, Private Ryan. You know, when she had that like white lipstick on and then like the 60s scene and stuff. Man, that was nice. That was a good setup. They really captured that era. I like women when they put that like light, you know, that 60s whitish or, you know, kind of lipstick on. Man, that's great. Come on over. One of you girls today, let's have that Oktoberfest thing and put that white lipstick on. And some eye makeup and a little extra shadow on the eyes too. You know, the guys like that stuff. It's just like the girls. Some of the girls like the bad boys, right? Secretly, most guys like that shadow on the eyes. You know, like smoky eyes or whatever it is. You know, not exactly that like full effect like Daryl Hannah had in Blade Runner. I just watched that, the director's cut again. I think I might have mentioned that once before. Director's cut wasn't as good. Hey, I'm sorry, the guy's a director, but you know, hey, dude, it was better the first time. Sometimes you ought to listen to the advice of your editor. Okay, I like the voiceover with Harrison Ford that you took out. You messed up, man. You messed up. You're blowing it, as Kojak used to say. You're blowing it. You're blowing it.
Okay.
Okay, you're right. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. All right, let's look at the
Weather Watch forecast.
I don't know why there's a delay on that thing. I swear I fixed that. What do we got the weather under? Climate? Can't tell. Oh, yeah. This is a picture. Okay, folks. Are you ready for this? Tony Caravan Live. So the reason I call this Tony Caravan Live is this is a satellite image that I just received from my secret sources on the internet. This picture is what it looks like it looked like about 10 minutes ago. All right? That's what the former US of A looked like about 10 minutes ago. You see the lights, the clouds. We had some rain up in my area. Where you see those heavy clouds, I'm not telling you which patch. Well, it's a patch. I think it's the patch closer towards the right. It's hard to say. Somewhere up there, that's where I'm situated in the secret studio. But this is a pretty good photo because first of all, it's live. I mean, it's as live as Memorex. But that's it. So it's timely, it's on time, and then you could see where the humans are, where the big street lights are, and I guess people who have houses, big house floodlights or something are on or other. You can see some weirdness coming up over the Pacific Northwest, and there's some other kind of weirdness going on down by the Baja Peninsula. The Atlantic Ocean looks pretty calm, But you can see up by the Ohio Valley, coming from Indiana into Ohio, just above West Virginia, getting into Pennsylvania, you can see there's like some thick clouds there. That means there's going to be a little rain in that part, and you can see another one towards the eastern part of Pennsylvania heading southern New York State, and I guess that's going to work its way into New England. Looks like the upper New England's getting a little bit of probably getting some rain. Well, these are clouds, but when at nighttime, and there've been some forecasts for rain. So we had some rain here about midnight, 1:00. I had the window open. And so we're going to get into, I'll show you a follow-up picture of my work that I've been doing on the roof. But isn't that special? Isn't that picture special? You can see down in the Caribbean and the Gulf, it's pretty clear. Florida. It's a starry night. Look at down in the Carolinas, man. They're going to have a nice sunrise down there, Trey. Interesting. Well, not necessarily. Sometimes when there's more clouds, you get some better colorization, but it's clear as anything down there. And in the upper, what do they call that area? It's not the upper Midwest, but that because the Midwest, you usually think of Midwest, you're thinking just like Chicago, and kind of around that area. But like I say, the U.S. has so many places that are almost indescribable. The Great Plains, so to speak. Anyway, wasn't that special? That was
The Weather Watch forecast.
That was fun. That was really fun. That was fun. Okay, now, I don't want to get on a downer, but let's get it out of the way. The news. Here's Google News, so they can't do anything for me for this. Let me get my face out of there. We don't need to see that. All right. The news about the thing is up there. But again, see, it's Google News, YouTube. It's Google News. I'm not making this up. This is what you guys or your brethren are telling us. So Republicans block Senate bill to fund government and suspend debt ceiling. All right, whatever that means. Yahoo Voices. What the heck is that? America needs to pay its bills has spawned a political game. America can never pay its bills. All right? We are so much in debt. It's like the double-digit trillions. It's out of control. There's not enough tax revenue, not enough people. And bringing poor, destitute people in from foreign countries are not going to pay taxes on the magnitude of trillions and tens of trillions of dollars. I mean, these people are crazy, especially when robotics are taking over those jobs. And the big corporations that are big tech, the corporatocracy, and big ag and big pharma and all that, the military contractors, they're not going to pay taxes. So who's going to pay that? America needs to pay its bills has spawned a political game. I mean, that is just pure bull. Senate Republicans block bill suspend debt limit to avert shut. Come on, this is every year since I've been like cognizant of like news. I've seen this stupid headline about debt ceiling, whatever. Like they're not going to like just increase it like they do every year. Do progressives prefer Trump to compromise? Joe Biden's lose week. And then they got this manhunt. So here's the thing where, so they've got Dog the Bounty Hunter now. This is news. Okay, this is Google News, supposedly. This, Dog the Bounty Hunter now is out on this case that is a diversion against Afghanistan and all the other crappy stuff that's happening in the U.S. And, of course, down the bottom, a 30-year-old former yoga teacher accused of arson in a Northern California blaze, which we all know half those things are either, cyclical natural order of the forest taking care of opening the canopy up so new growth could come in, or idiots like this who do this kind of nonsense. Criminals. Crazy. That's that's our title card. It's a nice one. Image of the day. We'll get to that in a second. I'm in a weird mood. Photography. Okay. It rained around midnight, 1 o'clock. These are the various bins. I know some of them look gnarly, but it doesn't matter. That's just like the funk of 40,000 years. It's just like tar or roof tar and stuff. There's no water in there. So when I get a light rain, and this is the bad spot. This is a bird's eye view of the worst spot up in the attic. Everything's dry. So, and this is the spot I showed you yesterday that I did, and I put my hand over that. Took a picture of it this morning at like 1:30 a.m. after the rain. And it held. Okay? So the thing about it is, it seems that, and this is the DIY part of this whole thing, that you can, when it just rains, if you just get a rain, showers, rain, showers, something that happens for about an hour or something, you could fix your attic from your roof from within. But if you get that like sideways, wind-blown storm, accompanied by 30, 40 mile an hour winds, that'll be the true test to see what happens. So far, so good. We're supposed to get more rain today. My neck of the woods, currently it's like 68 degrees outside. I mean, like room temperature, right? And they're talking about thunderstorms, 90% chance of thunderstorms within the hour, 76%. I mean, basically 94% at 7 a.m. around sunrise. So, and then 93% at 8 a.m. So today will be the test. So I have a feeling I'm going to be up there emptying some buckets. My chair just slid down. Mother. Okay, so that's that. We covered the weather. We covered the ridiculous, crazy news. I am crashing like a guy in the White House after his whatever injection they give him to come out and make a speech. You know, why don't they share that stuff with the rest of us, for crying out loud? You know, I don't know. So the title of today's show is, and I just put up a chat, which no one's going to understand unless you're a Trekkie. Anyway, title is ROCKFLUX Live 9/28/21. Freedom is fun, but it comes at a price. Freedom is fun, but it comes at a price. And the title, and I put up a chat that said, "You speak holy words." And that comes from this title card here. Did Star Trek predict the future? And, of course, that's Captain Kirk, whose back is turned to us. And remember, Star Trek, the original series, is what life's all about. In fact, all of the technology we have, including the smartphone, but remember, what came before the smartphone? Did you hear that? The flip phone. And what was the flip phone copied from? The Star Trek. Hey, Scotty, beam me up. But you know what? There's a chick. Don't beam up the dude with the furry thing on, but the chick with the nice skin and, is that auburn hair? What color hair is that kind of hair? Beam that chick up. Beam us direct to my my cabin. All right. TC out. Star Trek. It's the reason you got a smartphone. The reason that you've got these like computers that are like self-standing computers like the iMac, but other companies have copied them too. Right out of Star Trek. Some guy named Jeffries was the art director. It's like that guy should be like, totally thanked for everything. I don't know if he ever sued Apple or Microsoft, IBM or any of these people for it. But I mean, he basically designed everything we have. Star Trek original series in the 60s, that stuff. And then, of course, the Next Generation. All those other things in between. Voyager was pretty good. I watched that whole series. I binge watched that. I never watched that when it first came out. But, Star Trek had some babes on there, that's for sure. This one was Yangs and Combs. And the idea is Yangs, Yankees, Combs, communist. That's how Spock said it. And the thing about it was, so this was a parallel civilization that had somehow developed on some planet, and some, other Starfleet captain went down there, beamed down, or their crew or a landing party beamed down and got some kind of disease that killed everybody off. But he stayed there, and there was some immunity in the air. But in the long run, I mean, this isn't like a spoiler, because if you haven't seen Star Trek 17,000 times, I have. It turned out it wasn't something really in the air necessarily. It's like the immunity was like, all you had to do is be down there for a couple hours or a day or two, and you were immune to whatever it was. But it's the idea is it was after a war between the U.S., the Yankees, and the Combs, the communists, which would be China, really. And it was interesting how even though this was in the 60s, and the U.S. we were in a Cold War with the USSR, that the communists that were depicted in that were Asian looking, had Asian looking features. So, what did Gene Roddenberry know? There's a whole backstory about Gene Roddenberry, his interest and what he was involved with and people he knew and stuff like that. He was a very fascinating guy. And a lot of this stuff came out of like some pretty crazy places. So I don't know. Maybe the man saw the future. Did Star Trek predict the future? What does that have to do with ROCKFLUX and Tony Caravan Live? Do the powers that be want some kind of like hot war with China? The military industrial complex so they could sell, more weapons. That's all these wars are about, are weapons. And the poor soldiers, like I say, freedom is fun, but it comes at a cost, and it usually comes at the cost of human life. And unfortunately, those heroes, and I was thinking about that in bed today too, before I got up, or in the middle of the night at one point, that, those who fought in all these wars, they really are heroes. And, what hurts the most is that when I say former United States and Western civilization has fallen, it's like it's people in uniform and who went to these foreign, locales that paid the heaviest price. And they fought for freedom, and what do we have now? A Marxist, some kind of Marxist corporatocracy, ruled by an organized crime syndicate pretty much based in Europe, Brussels, or, the Davos set, World Economic Forum, with like the puppet, the pantomime president, right? It's pretty crazy. But I love this picture. Star Trek, man. And I did show you the other one, right? That's not that. Image of the day. This is from the pilot. That's Sally Kellerman. She was in the movie MASH. And the other guy, you might see him, he'd be familiar from 2001: A Space Odyssey. Right? Open the pod bay doors, Hal. Right? And their eyes are lit up because they had become like gods. They let there be light, that type of thing. That's a classic scene. People don't do this. It's just like it's a little side theme of today's show, Something for you to watch while I pour my coffee. Which I swear, every day my coffee gets, loses its heat faster and faster. And why is this coffee pot dripping while I'm pouring onto my very important papers? Very important papers. I was saving some receipt. I'll take this down for a while. Image of the day. Sally Kellerman was like a real sweetheart. when I lived in Hollywood, I lived across from a club, a hotel that had a lounge in it, and Sally Kellerman used to sing there. She was a singer. If you ever want to see, it's kind of a little sappy movie for some people, but for me, I like those kind of movies. I spoke about it once before. Lost Horizon. It was a musical version. Words and music by Burt Bacharach and Hal David. You know, it's a good movie if you don't mind the musical interludes, where people break into song. Then I got a couple of the tracks are kind of all right, but it's a very interesting story about life and living. Sally Kellerman was also in that. I always liked her, So yesterday I go to the grocery store and that's what this receipt that just got wet is. You see it's wet, so you can't even bother reading it. I'll just throw it away. I'm going to keep it. I have to keep it because I have to double check something. Because I should have double checked it before. What happened was I went down and I used my EBT card. All right? Like I told you, I intentionally live at the poverty level. There's no secret there. And there are certain, benefits that you get from living at the poverty level. You can call it benefits. It's weird how they call it benefits too, right? EBT stands for electronic benefit transfer. All right. But it's actually supposed to be like a safety net type of thing. Or assistance, right? But there's all these things, they don't want, this thing we talked about the other day, words. Everybody's got a problem with words. So they had to change the vocabulary of the country over the past couple decades. And more so in the past, 5 or 6 years. Got crazy, it's when it really got.
This is insane.
Yeah.
This is insane. This is insane.
I had to keep playing that so you didn't think I just screwed up myself.
Making up the rules as we go along.
So anyway,
You're listening to Tony Caravan Live.
I was talking about words. So I've been working. Yesterday was a crazy day. So anyway, I go down to the grocery store, and so I had some EBT. I don't get a lot of it because I'm just a single guy, just trying to make it in this world like the rest of us. I worked hard my whole life. I made good money. I paid taxes. I did my share. Whatever. I contributed. My part at, freedom. Freedom? You speak holy words. Freedom. Yeah, that is a holy word. So, the way it works is if you have X amount of balance on your so-called EBT card, which is like an ATM card that they fill up once a month, give you a few extra bucks to buy some food so you don't starve. Remember, I said nobody in this country starves. Anyone who's starving in America is either mentally ill and needs help, and if you know someone like that, you should reach out to them and let them know that they can get food. All right? Because even despite the disruptions, the so-called supply chain disruptions and all of that sort of stuff, and rampant inflation, runaway inflation, that if you know someone who's poor, elderly, or whatever, and they're suffering, they're not getting food, there are in every county in this country, there's food assistance available for them. Okay. And even someone like myself who's retired, I've retired, and I basically live at the poverty level, okay, because I got tired of the rat race and I wanted to be free. Freedom. Freedom is fun. We should all be free, but most people can't figure it out. Get my book, Then What? I tell you a little bit about that in there, and in Codex, behind this picture of my title card, Codex. I think I talk a little bit about it in my Free Flow of Consciousness and my life. These two books are good books to have. Remember, that's this one here, Then What? You got to get the paperback version. I say this all the time. Nobody's going to get it, but you should get it. The paperback version. That's my 10th book. 10 books. I have 50 songs. 10 books, 50 songs. 500 videos, which are basically, some of them are like short films, documentaries, and some of them are just entertaining films. All right? And nobody has a clue who I am. I've got 0 viewers right now. I just want to put this up because I just like this girl. Is that all? It's almost Auburn hair. Yeah, like Auburn. Yeah. Yeah, she's nice. Kind of nice. A natural. She's a natural. You've got the skin I'd love to touch. It's a Frank Sinatra song. I think Cole Porter wrote lyrics to that. But from this moment on, you and me, babe. Something like that. I don't know. Yes, I am a crooner. I am one of the all-time great crooners. My cat did not come down today for some reason. Now, I do believe I picked up a fur ball. And he might have been paranoid, as if like he thinks I would be upset that there was a fur ball there. And sometimes I've made a stink, like I've said, don't do it there. But I treat him like a baby. But he's been treated so much like a baby, and he's semi-paranoid to begin with. Him and his brother. I don't have his brother, but I know who has his brother. And his brother is just as parent. They're paranoid cats, the kittens. I don't know, wherever they came from. I got the Game Over hat on today. And so, you for me, babe. Only whoop-de-doo. Every one of our cares is gone. So what I was trying to say is freedom is fun. So anyway, back to this story. I was talking about this EBT thing. So a friend of mine was down, and we did a few things. Originally, it was going to be like a mini Oktoberfest, a couple of cocktails, a couple of beers, a couple of German beers. But, I'm just against it. It's like a good Irish buddy of mine said, hey, I'm Irish. I said, I don't say his name, but I said, hey man, let's have a beer with me. I was in his bar. He owns a bar. I was in his bar. Come on, have a beer with me. He goes, I'm Irish, man. I can't have one beer. And it's like, that's how it is. It's like, she's like, oh, well, we could have a couple of beers, but she had to get back or something. I'm like, I can't have one beer, It's if I'm going to drink Oktoberfest, it's like, I'm going to drink. So I didn't drink. I'd rather go without than try to have one or two beers. It's just like, not that kind of person. I'd rather just have a soft drink or, bottled water. So anyway, she was down. which was still cool. And we did a couple of things. And she went with me down to the grocery store, got us a few things. And we had lunch, got some stuff, had some lunch. And I got back and I was on my computer and I don't know what exactly it was, why I looked at my bank account balance, but I was, and I noticed that the full amount that I spent at the grocery store was deducted from my debit card, my bank account balance. And I'm like, whoa, I spent $40-some down there, and 41 of it, because I bought a $6 can of Lysol spray. Man, they're taking advantage of us on that too, Used to be able to get like a can twice the size of the can that I bought, the generic one at Walmart, for like $2.67 or something. Now you get these tiny cans for like 3 times the price almost. Well, anyway, so I'm going, hey, man, they didn't deduct. And then I checked my EBT because you could check that online. And there, sure enough, the full balance was still in there. It was garbage day yesterday. So I had already thrown away because we had lunch. And so with lunch, eating lunch and everything, we'd thrown away all the residue of what we had for lunch, the leftover, napkins and all that stuff, and the receipt that was in the bag and all that stuff got taken out with the trash. This is garbage day. Clean out the house, get everything, start anew for the week. So I didn't even have the receipt. So I have to say, in all not fairness, but in all kudos is a better word, to this Penny. It says on this receipt, your cashier today was Penny. So I called up and I talked to Penny, I guess, and who was a manager. And I said, look, I don't have the receipt. I was down there. Here's the amount, because I'm looking at my bank, online bank balance, ledger. And I said, it's showing a deduction of $46 and change or something like that. And I said, it should only be showing $6 because the other part should have came from this EBT thing. And so the cashier, whoever checked me out at the time, and she was nice about it. She said, well, come on down, just bring the ATM card, your EBT card. What register? Do you remember what register you were at? And I did remember. It was like number 5. And she said I could take care of it. And so my friend of mine actually went down for me because I had to go over to the hardware store and pay the bill for my basement work that was done. It's only half done because I'm waiting to get these other people in October to come and change some burners, which I hope hold out, knock on wood. My house doesn't just blow up. The gas furnace. It's like this summer. I think it might be raining outside. Yeah. And it's raining pretty hard. So I guess we'll know after the show. Yeah. It's raining like this. There'll be some leaks. You know where there'll be some leaks. I'm hoping there'll be no leaks there. There probably will be a leak or two there, but these things will be filled. Yeah. So tomorrow I'll show you. I'll go up after the... Yeah. It's kind of a semi-heavy rain. Oh, you didn't hear that? It's a thunderstorm on top of it. So if the power goes out, I hope it doesn't. You know, I think this show records as it goes along. I mean, though I'm not sure. You know? So I don't know if this entire live broadcast will be lost, you know, or not. If the power goes out, there's a thunderstorm. You know, it's the year 2021, and the problem is we be able to withstand thunderstorms and all that kind of stuff, you know, and not have the power go out. But I think this thing kind of like saves after the fact, not ongoing recording. I'm not certain of that, which means this whole entire show could be lost if the power blinks out. In which case, I will see you tomorrow, okay? Because I'm not going to come back on because it would be too risky because they're talking thunderstorms for the next 3 hours. I just didn't think it would be like thunderstorms. I thought it would just be something casual. And I don't have the backup power hooked up to this right now. If I would have known. So anyway, I'll just talk. There's nobody watching, so I'm talking to nobody. If this show gets blanked out and it's not recorded, you know, preserved, that means everything I'm doing now is like I'm talking to myself, and I won't even be able to rewatch this. And it's such a good show, and the color-wise of like the title card and everything. I'll just redo this tomorrow, you know, is what I would do. You know, it would be the same show. Freedom is fun. But anyway, so this Penny woman at the grocery store straightened the thing out. So I guess what she did was she voided out the original transaction and then just had it redone the proper way. That was nice. So I haven't really double checked that balance yet, but I'm sure, because there's a receipt she gave here that just got wet with coffee, unfortunately. Holy crap. I know you can't hear it because this isn't directional. Or this is directional. It's not omnidirectional. But that's some serious thunder. So if we get the thunder, lightning, crack, that's usually when like the power goes out sometimes just for like a couple seconds. And that'd be enough to shut down the computer. And once that happens, that would be the end of this. Oh, come on. So I'm walking on eggshells, you know, and I'm in a half decent mood. I'm up early in the morning. I've got my coffee, you know. You got the coffee pot. And we've got a violent thunderstorm, which will totally test whether or not this thing holds, because I can hear it like hitting the side of the house. You and me, babe. Whoop-de-doo, babe. Every one of our cares is gone. From this moment on. Thunderstorm, man. So I'm just going to keep going. We'll just hope for the best. Hope lightning doesn't like go through, one of the strikes doesn't go through some line that, you know, temporarily disrupts the power. That's what happens, you know. It just seems that, I mean, that's, it'll, you know, and there's a lot of, you know, that's another thing about the year 2021. I talked about this before. When I was a kid, I used to live at the shore, and then I moved to Pennsylvania, Pottsville, Pennsylvania, the home of Yingling Brewery when I was a kid. But I was originally outside of Atlantic City. My father used to have a business on the boardwalk in Atlantic City. And I think he worked for the Atlantic City newspaper there too, or something. I forget I forget which order. I forget. But anyway, we used to walk to school and stuff, and there were no telephone poles. I mean, there were light poles, street lights, but there were no wires or anything like that. I never even thought of that. And then when I moved to Pennsylvania, I was born in Pennsylvania, but we moved to Jersey, and I went to kindergarten. And kindergarten, I might have been there a little bit before kindergarten, went to kindergarten there, and then like half of first grade or something. And then we moved back to, Yinglingtown. And I remember, because I had missed like half of first grade, that's where they were teaching penmanship, or what people today call cursive writing, which they don't do anymore. So people don't have penmanship or writing anymore. Everybody either prints or whatever. And I remember going to the board, was second grade or something like that, and they were saying everyone had to go up and write their name on the board, write it in penmanship. And I had remembered getting a letter, a birthday card or something from my grandfather, in which he wrote my name in penmanship on it. And I was half remembering, I knew how the A was formed or something. And but I didn't know it. It was embarrassing. So I had to learn penmanship. But then I eventually learned, and actually I had good penmanship. And later on in life, I told you I even learned how to become a fast typer who actually knew how to type. But the story was that when I came back to Pennsylvania, I noticed all of these poles with wires and these what you would call transformers and stuff, but I didn't know what the heck they were. And they were all over the place. They were on the street where we lived. They were everywhere. And to me, they were like, you're a kid. Kids are always noticing stuff, right? Adults, and today everybody's just looking down at their stupid smartphone. But I mean, a kid's like, what's that? What's that? Those are power lines, I wish somebody would tune into the show live, because if it goes off, at least I'll know one person would have caught some of this stuff. I'm telling these stories, Geez.
You're listening to Tony Caravan Live.
It's a classic show. It's been on for 47 minutes. I don't know. Maybe I should stop the show at an hour just in case. That way it could go through its thing and save itself. Because I think it saves it after you hit end. I'm pretty sure of that. Yeah. I don't know. Let's keep our fingers crossed. Not that that means anything. Does anything. I'm not superstitious. So, yeah. So what they did in Jersey, particularly at the shoreline, was they had conduit. New York City's like that too. They basically have the wires. Of course, they have the subway system and all that. But, they basically have everything underground. So maintenance is underground. And so because of floods, the shoreline, because of storm surge, like I say, I was living outside of Atlantic City at the time. And, it was known back then. That's why I also always criticize these people. This is like years ago when I was a kid, kindergarten. All right. That storms were storms and you just had it. And it was like, and when I came back to Pennsylvania, we had snowstorms where were nor'easters and stuff that now they say, oh, that's because of climate crisis or something. And I'm going, come on, man. We had, you've heard me say this before if you're a regular viewer. We had snow that buried us in our houses. You couldn't open the front door. And down at the shore, they were, there was such a regularity of various storms and storm surge that would come in and flood the streets and stuff. And so they had all the wiring and things like that because of high winds with those storms that could come off the coast, up the coastline. They didn't want poles getting knocked over by wind or something falling on, wires and stuff. So they had like when I say conduit, I don't mean like house conduit that's like small conduit. I'm talking about, basically, almost like a tunnel of sorts or something that they can access, or at least there were access areas, and they were probably, I don't know, areas big enough to have things like telephone wires, electric wires, and certain things, that kind of stuff going through this in these waterproof conduit type of, enclosures. And, that was many, many moons ago. And why everywhere else didn't do that, I don't know. And so it's like I look outside my house, and in front of my house, there's a pole, and it's a old wooden tree, pole. But it's like, you could get a splinter if you brushed up against it. It's old, probably goes back to at least the 60s or long, you know what I mean? It's an old pole. It's good wood, good straight poles, wherever they, and they treated them with something, like I think there's like tar or something on the bottoms of them and all that jazz. But that's neither here nor there. It's just chock full of wires. And they still that's how they still run internet, and, wires and stuff like that. Cable, TV and everything. So it's the year 2021, and it's like it's like, back in the 60s, people were, 60 years ago, people had a more, modern way of living. And so if there was like a lightning storm or a car, there were no poles for a car to knock down that would knock the power out for, until they fixed it. Or if there was a storm, a tree couldn't fall on a pole because that pole wouldn't exist, or the pole that did exist, the pole would have just knocked down a street light, which they, so what? That particular portion of the street would be dark that night unless they fixed the pole during the day, fixed the street light during the day. And that's why I say, with all this technology, it's the same with, I bring up about illnesses and stuff. There's such a focus, so many people, all the great minds, because there are great minds in this country and around the world, and great universities, okay? And we've accumulated an incredible amount of knowledge, right? Through science and, all sorts of studies. And yet, we don't have cures for diseases. We have, temporary things. That was in the news even today. I noticed that, everything's temporary. Take this every year now is the new thing, right? This is going to last forever. And then these companies, the government, it's free to you, but the government, which is you, because that's your taxes, and somehow it's coming out of something that's depriving you of something. There's more thunder. I'm coming up on 54 minutes. I don't know. Maybe I should break in about an hour. Shucks. But the idea is that instead of these great minds putting their efforts into what I'm telling you, like to cure disease instead of just make hundreds of billions of dollars to treat it every year. Or why these wooden stick poles are up and why there constantly are power outages and all these kinds of problems. Why don't they just have a project that solves it once and for all like they did 60 years ago in like these shore areas and other areas? And the list goes on, you know. And, you know, and that's what's angry. And what I was saying about taxes, you say, well, I don't even, a lot of people don't pay taxes. And I don't pay taxes because, you know, I have deductions. No, it's not that. It's the idea that when the government's paying hundreds of billions of dollars to big pharma to not solve a problem, to just treat a problem, well, that hundreds of billions of dollars could have been redirected towards curing something, but it could also have been redirected towards getting rid of those freaking telephone poles and building underground infrastructure. Like right now, we have this big infrastructure project, and they've done it on my street. And what they did was they were digging up the holes, sewer pipes, and just, you know, and doing a rather slipshod job of it, because it cost me money because there was so much shaking by the trucks out there that I had water pipes in my basement got loose and I had to pay. That was the bill. I said I had to go across the street to the, you know, the hardware store / plumbing store and pay my bill. Because not only did I have the guy clean the furnace, but I had to have him change you know, a pipe that had basically been shaken loose by these trucks. I had a puddle of water in my basement. And so if you're going to do an infrastructure project, that same time, they should have been putting like a conduit line down. You opening up the street. Oh, that was a big one. Oh, man, I'm having fun. I really would like to do a good long show today. Son of a. I just don't want to risk it because it's like, you know. So look, what I'm going to do is I think I don't have no choice, right? So. Good morning. I think I'm going to have to end this show. So thanks for watching. Unfortunately, it's, you know, it's a case of, you know, I'm just a primitive, the year 2021, and we're living in a primitive culture in most parts of this country, except the ultra elite. I'm sure in their gated communities, they don't have telephone wires or electric wires all in front of their houses, right? They're all conduited underground. But the rest of us poor slobs, you know, 90% of the country, we are. Visit my site, get my book, go to Great Solar Stuff, get power backup so you wouldn't have to worry about this. I didn't hook my power backup to my computer or my internet, so that's why I'm going to have to go off to make sure this show gets saved. I'll talk to you tomorrow, folks. Give you an update. I got to check the attic anyway. This rain, make sure I'm not getting water in my bedroom. Take care. Thanks for